The 7-member ex-board of directors of the now-defunct Heritage Bank has issued a statement responding to allegations leveled against the bank by the Bank of Ghana, for which reasons its license was revoked on Friday, 4th January 2018. The ex-board, chaired by Professor Kwesi Botwe, had the following people as members: Columbus Bruce, Peter Sangbe Derry, Florence Hatchful, Edward Kwache, John Warisa, Patrick Fishen, and Benson Nuchukwi. According to the board, Dr. Ernest Addison's led Bank of Ghana has done Heritage Bank what they call a quote-unquote grave injustice. The former board responds to the reasons given by the BOG issue by issue. Now watch what the governor of the Bank of Ghana said about the source of the bank's initial capital. Then we'll tell you what the statement from the ex-board of directors of the now-defunct Heritage Bank says about it.
Pursuant to Section 123 of the Banks and Specialized Deposit Taking Institutions Act 2016, that is Act 930, the Bank of Ghana has revoked the banking licenses of Premium Bank Limited and Heritage Bank Limited with effect from the date of this notice, and has appointed Mr. Vish Ashiabo of PricewaterhouseCoopers as receiver for the two banks. Complete details of the basis of which the licenses of the two banks have been revoked will be attached to this press release. Heritage Bank, among other things, obtained its banking license on 4th October 2016 on the basis of capital with questionable sources. Furthermore, the bank was unable to meet the new minimum capital requirement of 400 as of 31st December 2018.
My colleague with Joy Business, Philip Nanfuri, joins me with a copy of the statement. Philip, what is the position of the ex-board of directors on this claim made by the governor of the Bank of Ghana?
Okay, Bernice, I'm going to read from the statement they released. First one, suspicious source of capital and related matters. And it says, we find it puzzling that the Bank of Ghana should now be disputing the existence of a contract between Heritage Banks Limited, main shareholder, and Cocoa Board, when the bank, as part of its due diligence ahead of the granting of its license, provisional banking license, had requested and received confirmation from Cocoa Board of the existence of the contractual arrangements between Cocoa Board and the said shareholder. We also want to state on record that Heritage Bank never received, nor is the board aware of any order from the High Court or any other court for that matter for disclosures relating to any contract involving Mr. Seidu Agongo. Indeed, we are hearing of this matter for the very first time through the governor's news conference. In any case, we are unable to fathom why the High Court would order Heritage Bank to make disclosures in respect of a contract that is not a party to or a custodian of. Furthermore, it is even more puzzling that the Bank of Ghana will claim that it has no knowledge of Mr. Seidu Agongo being a shareholder of Sarago Limited. The shareholding structure of Sarago Limited is a matter of public record since it is a registered company at the Registrar General's Department. More importantly, the Bank of Ghana, in its own provisional license to Heritage Bank, stated as a condition that the concentration of the bank shareholding in Mr. Seidu Agongo and Sarago Limited be diluted within 3 years of the commencement of operations. Mr. Agongo's association with Sarago Limited was thus known to the Bank of Ghana at the time of the licensing.
All right. So during that press conference, the governor of the Bank of Ghana did mention that there were further details or further reasons attached to the statement that he didn't read out. And one of them had to do with several related party transactions above board. First off, explain to us what that means and what the response is in that statement.
Okay, so in banking operations, we mobilize deposits from the public, like you and I. In addition to that, we have shareholders contributing a portion of the capital to run the business. Anytime you make a lending arrangement or you lend to individuals, there are certain processes we go through that are called credit appraisals or credit procedures or credit risk management, broadly speaking. As a bank, your shareholders, your board, your management, etc., cannot receive loans to a certain amount. You cannot overexpose your customers' deposits to these, call them part of the bank, shareholders, management, board, etc. What the governor was saying clearly and in simple terms is that they lend funds to family and friends without due or proper procedures or without due diligence. So what this means is that you take customers' deposits, you expose these deposits to family and friends. And we know that let me just break it down a bit, Bernice. If I gave you a loan and you and I were in very, very good terms, the probability of you bringing back that money was quite low. That's the same thing that goes on. But just imagine it's been in millions of Ghana cedis. They give it out, and now it becomes a process. And we've seen this in other situations in the country. We saw it in the bank situation where related and connected parties. So you have the bank channeling funds to other entities that are related to it. And this is clearly what the Bank of Ghana was saying in there. And if you'd permit me, I'll just read a bit from it. And it says, if I can just go to it. Okay. So the grounds for revocation of the bank's license also included a claim that the bank had approved several related party transactions, that its loans and facilities to its main shareholder. 3 companies were cited in the governance statement: SASSH Alliance, and it says Heritage Bank gave facilities totaling 6 million, an overdraft of 3 million, and a bank guarantee of 3 million, which were fully collateralized, were subject to the standard credit requirements, and were duly approved by the bank in accordance with Section 67 of the Banks and Specialized Deposit Institutions Act. That's
so they're rejecting that claim? They're
rejecting that claim. And let me go to what the Deputy Governor said on the Super Morning Show just a few hours ago. The host of the Super Morning Show, Nadazi, put some of these things together.
We'll come, sorry to cut you in there, but we'll come quickly to what her response was. But just finally, let's just finish with the statement from the ex-board of directors of the now defunct Heritage Bank. Finally, they respond to the issue raised by the governor that the significant shareholder was no longer fit and proper.
Okay. In the course of last year, Bank of Ghana came out with the fit and proper directives. All these were contained in the Banks and Specialized Deposit Institutions Act, but were, however, operationalized to more or less give them the backing they need to move forward. And it says here, it's not clear as to how the Bank of Ghana came to this conclusion, but this is a matter obviously best dealt with by the said shareholder in any manner that he shall deem appropriate. Suffice it to say only that neither the bank nor its directors or shareholders were afforded the statutory notice period by the Bank of Ghana within which to have responded to the allegations made prior to the abrupt revocation of its license, contrary to the provisions of the very same law under which the license was revoked. So clearly they are saying here the Bank of Ghana didn't give them ample time to respond. We saw some of these things in the previous banking collapse. Unibank, one example, where some of the shareholders and management said Bank of Ghana didn't give them enough time. Yet you have the regulator saying that, you know what, we did this in accordance with the law, we gave everyone time to respond, and these are some of the things that keep on going back and forth. But clearly, it says they are responding to the fact that they believe they were fit and proper. Bank of Ghana says, no, you weren't. Interesting.
And now let's come to what you were referring to earlier about the second Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana responding to these claims. Well, Madam Elsie Awadi says Heritage Bank's license was revoked after carefully studying their books. She adds they are ready to appear before court anytime they are hauled over the matter.
You know, we've examined all the records available to us, internal and external, and everything we said is backed by the facts available to us. Okay.
Does that then mean that these checks may have happened, but the licenses were issued? The license was issued.
We have verified the facts and the records available to us, and we're standing on firm ground when we say the things we've said in our press release. Okay.
What do you say to persons, and it's not just Heritage Bank former board members who say this, but almost all the banks that have gone under? We find persons within saying that, look, they are being targeted, the Bank of Ghana is being selective. Since you are here, let's clarify that. Are you being selected?
What would be the basis of that allegation, of that claim? I mean, we have...
Heritage, for instance, has named something saying that you're stating falsehood, which you dispute, of course, but that's their position.
I did dispute that. And people are well within their rights to dispute actions of the central bank and dispute facts. In the end, there are processes, you know, for confirming who's right and who's wrong. And I would encourage people to pursue those. But we have acted based on information available to us. We have used the same law. We have used facts available to us, which we have cross-checked, which we have investigated and confirmed, based on which we've taken action. And based on that, it will be very difficult for anybody to show that we have been selective or we haven't applied the law fairly. I mean, one of our greatest responsibilities as a regulator is to be fair, but also to be firm. Also to be firm.
Of course.
And we're committed to the rule of law, just as we want to act within the confines of the law, we expect everybody else to operate within the confines of the law, and that we will make sure.
Well, let me just wrap up with you, Philip, with Joy Business. Are we likely to see any court actions? Are we picking any information from these banks?
For me, I would say nothing yet, but like the governor said, it's within their rights to pursue legal action if they deem it necessary. The host of the Super Money should also ask if it's going to affect the operations of the Bank of Ghana if indeed some of these banks decide to take court action. And she says, no, it's not going to do that. So in the coming days, if we see, we shouldn't be surprised, but I'm sure both parties will go through the legal processes to ensure that justice is done to both parties.
Thank you very much. Philip Namfuri is with Joy Business.